Hello everyone, welcome back once again to the Hindu Explainer series. I am Kushagra Goel and very warm greetings from Law Prep Tutorial. So we mark the beginning of another new month and we edge closer, which is almost 3 weeks left for CLAT 2021, which will complete the cycle for almost one entire cycle of newspaper analysis also. So this begs the question of how long do you need to keep on reading the newspaper to add information onto your notes. All right, so you all know last year we did get a question from CLAT which was almost a week before. All right, which means that the CLAT is still waiting, or they have now done is that they are waiting for new things to come up when they take the examination, right? So this begs what we need to now see is that even in that passage which was related to a very recent event, there were some questions that were still on basis of previous information, that even if you were not aware of the new event, you could still answer those questions, right? Now what the focus will be is very specific news, and whenever I am telling you something, I will tell you with the perspective of questions or what kind of question that can be asked, right? My advice is we'll be keeping these videos very short, that is 20-minute max, all right, 20 to 22 minute, all right, until July the 15th, all right, which is almost a week before the examination. Do give a view to the videos, all right, which is going to help you just in case something that is there, something that is coming up, all right, while you are having your lunch, while you're having your dinner or breakfast. Just go through the video once. This is going to help you be aware of what is happening while you are doing your revision of English, of legal, of maths, all right, of reasoning, just so that you are in the know-how of what is happening around, because there is potential of almost 60% of questions or segments of your examination that can be influenced by recent events, that is legal and current affairs, right? Both these segments can be heavily influenced from recent events. Okay, so please don't skip altogether watching the series. Just focus on the news. We'll be talking about the potential questions too, all right? So on that note, let's dive into the newspaper today. So on the front page, Supreme Court pulls up, this is carrying on with the constitutional statutory right that people have under the National Disaster Management Act, that in case there is a national disaster that has taken place and someone has died because of it, right, then the state has to pay damages to such an individual. In that regard, the Supreme Court has now claimed that the authority will frame rules, how much they will pay to each person, that also needs to be framed, but it has to be paid nevertheless. The state cannot deny payment now on the ground that COVID-19 is a specific kind of disaster, all right? So that is the update. Apart from this, drones, flying toys banned in Jammu and Kashmir district after attacks. This is in relation to the Jammu airbase attack that has taken place, all right, using drones. Now, drones are objects that are too small to be recorded on radar. They fly at a very low height, all right, and thus they can go below the existing infrastructure that military has, but they have the potential of being used for armed, right? So in that response, the Air Force, for a precautionary basis, has banned drones in general, all right? Then apart from this, elections no guarantee against tyranny, says Chief Justice of India. This is in follow-up to two similar reports, that is the VDEM Institute and the Democracy Index by the Economic Intelligence Unit, that just because you have regular elections going on doesn't mean that you are against tyranny or the state is responsible to the people. Remember, elections do take place in Pakistan, Syria also, but is the government there compassionate towards the people or not? This is what the Chief Justice was highlighting in his speech, all right, yesterday, that see, we need a government or a state that is compassionate and responsible towards providing freedom to the people, and that needs to be ensured, all right? Then moving on, apart from this, turning to the editorial section. So July 1 also marks 100 years of the founding of Communist Party of China, the party that has ruled China since 1949 onwards, all right? So this is the Communist Party of China. They have run an ad. Their ambassador in India, Sun Weidong, all right, they have reached or have claimed to reach complete elevation of poverty in their country in these 100 years, all right? So this is an achievement. So 100 years of Communist Party of China is an event, right? Then there is one update from CLAT. This is something I am not at all happy about, all right? NLSIU, one of the top law colleges in the country, has reserved 25% of its seats for its states or students from Karnataka itself. This, in my personal opinion, is a disease or a bad idea that has now spread to almost every national law university. The idea that a law college should be primarily or serving local candidates first or reserved for them is something that was not the original idea of NLUs when they were established in 1989. If that was the case, they would have had the idea at the inception. The fact that colleges and state has failed to meet the demand of candidates to get law degrees, they have now resorted to a shortcut, which is these reservations. So from CLAT 2021 onwards only, 25% of the seats will be reserved at NLS Bangalore for their students in Karnataka, which is sad in general. Most of the NLUs now have it anyway, all right? So it was long time due that it was going to happen at NLS Bangalore too, right? Then moving on to the editorial section, how the Chinese Communist Party endures, that how has it transitioned from being second fiddle to USSR to successfully having friendship with the West while becoming a communist state, to transitioning to a globalized economy while continuing its political communist moorings, and face the onslaught of not conceding to democratic aspirations of its people. So this editorial talks about all those achievements and at what cost. So multiple thousands and lakhs of human lives have been cost in the Communist Party cause. First, famously in the Cultural Revolution of Mao Zedong in 1970, the world's largest and most recent famine that took place in China, all right, was during the cultural reforms of Mao Zedong, all right? Then you all must be aware of the Tiananmen Square killings, all right? Then how has it been able to do so? So this editorial then talks about how they have linked Communist Party of China ruling China to being the only entity that can protect China from, all right? That there are artificial enemies that are there, and if the Communist Party is not there, China will fall, all right? That, see, in this slogan, Mi Yong Gongchang, Mi Ya Xinjiao, that is, if there is no Communist Party, there would not be a new China. That China existence owes to the existence of Communist Party of China. We keep seeing this as an idea that is also recorded in elections, that the state will not be there anywhere if this particular leader is not there. This was famously used prior to emergency, that India is Indira and Indira is India. That if Indira Gandhi is not there, India will not exist. We all know this is an untruth phenomenon used by autocrats everywhere, all right, or any party with autocratic setup wherever. So this is not an democratic state that cares for its people. This is a state that cares for its party, and the party that cares for its own personal power and nothing else. Then on the left hand side, small doses. The first relief package of second COVID wave falls short of expectation. This is the loan package that the finance minister has recently announced, all right, for people in general, wherein different segments have been covered, especially the tourism industry, wherein tourist guide, restaurants and other service establishments can take easy loans, all right, and then pay back them at a cheaper rate, loans at a cheaper interest rate, as an assistance to tide over the low of COVID-19 right now, all right? Then desert home. India seems to have warmed up to UAE as a cricketing venue after earlier misgiving. So the false or the fail guy or the scapegoat of India not doing well in its COVID fight has been the T20 World Cup, robbing Indian fans of seeing the world's biggest T20 players in India, something that the IPL suspension has now also confirmed, that the T20 World Cup that was to be hosted by India in 2021 has now been moved out, all right, and will take place in UAE along with Oman, all right. So this is the confirmation of change of venue. Can be a question that can be asked. Then an attempt to silence the film fraternity. This is the new cinematograph amendment that has brought in, which is that from a back date now, amendments can take place. That is, if a film in 2018 was granted a certification of U, in 2021 on the grounds of new or a violation of national interest, the certification can be changed, certification can be withdrawn, circulation can be withdrawn altogether, all right? So this is, and now as you all know, content on social media platforms, content on over-the-top platforms is also requires certification from the ministry. So all content that is created in the country can now be overlooked or overseen beyond the film certification board. So till now we had the CBFC, which was a body that was or has members from the film fraternity only. But now the ministry will have an oversight over the film certification board, right? That the government will deploy or approve whatever content the certification board has also done. This is Kamal Hassan writing that this is now an attempt to silence the film fraternity altogether. This is still a bill, not confirmed. Then 1991 liberalization leap and lessons for today. This also marks this year 30 years of the liberalization, that is the liberalization, privatization, globalization reforms that under PV Narasimha Rao and Finance Minister Manmohan Singh had ushered in India, that from a socialist controlled state economy to a globalized private sector spearheaded world economy of India, all right. This leap, Montek Singh Ahluwalia was one of the architects of this, all right. So his interview, this is something that is very important in general to know for every Indian, all right. So this interview is part of our economic planning, economic mooring that has been there in our economic planning altogether. So please give this a read, all right. What has India done? What were the purposes then? All right. So very important interview in that regard, all right. Then moving on, another national news. So Google removes 59,000 plus posts in April. This is compliance report under the new IT rules. So the new IT rules that were moved in, now if people have asked in, you have to remove that content and plus file a monthly compliance report of how many posts did you actually remove, all right. So in that regard, Google has come up with its report, all right. Then India flags green pass issue. This is the green pass that you now need to actually travel, that along with visa, when you actually enter the country. So for example, you have a long-term visa of Germany, all right, or any European Union in general. Now you want to travel there once again. You can be denied access if you don't have passport, a vaccine passport or a green pass that is issued to those who have been vaccinated by the vaccine that is approved in the particular country. India has called for reciprocational restrictions if the Covishield vaccine is not approved. Covishield is a modified version of the AstraZeneca vaccine approved in European Union but not being approved for Indians or the Covishield vaccine. So this hypocrisy is what Indian government has called out against, all right. So this is the larger issue of vaccine nationalism, all right. Then European Union may offer vaccines to Bhutan, as India was the one who was supposed to supply vaccines to Bhutan. The second dose of the vaccines that were given in Bhutan are now due, but India, as you all know, has been suffering from vaccine shortages and has no real vaccines to give, all right? So thus we have stopped the export of vaccines under the vaccine Maitri scam. Then moving on, apart from this, on the international news. So first, the economic news. May's lowest spending pegs fiscal deficit at 8.2%. Fiscal deficit, how much you earn, how much you are spending. Indian GDP right now is spending at 8.2%. That is all right. Then moving on the world issues, all right? So tourism industry lost this much. This is COVID related news. Then domestic considerations always first for Communist Party of China, response of their foreign policy today. Then Israel seeks to build wider. Yair Lapid, who is the prime minister in waiting, along with Naftali Bennett, all right? So we all know new elections took place in Israel this year for the Knesset. This was their fourth general elections in 2 years. Benjamin Netanyahu, the longest serving prime minister, is finally out, and Yair Lapid is the new foreign minister and the prime minister in waiting. He is to have the prime ministerial seat after 2 years, all right, if the coalition lasts. So Israel seeks to build wider ties across West Asia, which is the Middle Eastern region. Israel, until recently, before the signing of the Abraham Accords, did not have almost no diplomatic relationship. But over the past year, we have seen 4 countries have recently had diplomatic relationship with Israel. So this is Yair Lapid saying that we are going to build wider ties with West Asia. There is slated speculation that Saudi Arabia and Israel will soon have diplomatic ties. So this is one news that is an extension of Israel-Palestine issue. All right. Apart from this, the sporting segment, nothing of real note for us. So thus, here is Duti Chand, who is now confirmed to participate in 200 and 100 meter, all right, on basis of our world ranking. So India will be represented on track and athlete event, and we hope and we wish that she finally makes it to the finals there, all right. She has the potential. So on that note, I'll conclude for the day. On this new month now, as you wish get closer, my best wishes to all the candidates. We are going to come up with a list of in-depth analysis that we have done over the year, all right, of different important topics. So, and we'll be posting that on the Google Drive too. So you can visit that. In case you want to revise a particular topic, you can go back to that particular chapter of the YouTube video. So on that note, thank you so much, and wishing all the CLAT aspirants the very best. Thank you so much, and see you all tomorrow.